You are now in the hall. Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is episode 19. Hopefully you had a great week. That's all this episode is, man. Just, how's everyone doing? Did you have a good week? And then, I'll see you guys back on Monday. So we'll keep it quick. I gotta go to a barbecue, so I'm gonna bang this out real quick and just talk to you guys, see what's up, dude. Had a majestic morning. Saw a gator out there in the lake, so went down there. I'll tell you what, man. Seeing a gator during sunrise after a coffee and a joint, I mean that'll get your heart going, For a second, I was staring at this gator, and for a second we were one being, and we understood each other, and we realized that we were the universe, seeing each other in a different physical form. And then the gator went underwater, and that's when I head out. Okay, as soon as the gator dips, I don't care how big the alligator is, as soon as it dips its head under the water, I gotta go, because I don't know where it's gonna pop back up. Okay, that's a reptile at the end of the day. There's no emotion. If that thing's hungry, it's gonna get you. I hit a gator one time. I don't know if I told this story on the show, but I was thinking about it the other day. So we were bringing up, the guy driving the car, Kenny, rest in peace. He was a funny dude, man. We were driving back home late. Had to be doing like 80, man, and I was in the back seat, and then I just remember we just took flight. We were probably had to have been 2 feet off the ground, man. We just took off. And I just remember him screaming, "Oh, holy shit! Holy shit!" And Carlos, my buddy Carlos, he was in the passenger seat up front. I was kind of laying in the back. I had my headphones on. And, dude, I just remember they were just freaking out. I didn't know what we hit. And we pulled over, and I'm like, what'd we hit? And he's like, we hit a gator. And I was like, no way, dude. And I was expecting to see, this gator be completely, flattened and destroyed. This thing had to have been 10 feet long, man. And it just, it had those forearms, those biceps. That's the scary thing about the gator. It's not their mouth. It's not their tail. It's those weird lizard bicep arms that are bigger than yours. And they just can walk right back into the shrubs. And we looked at the front bumper of the car, and it was just destroyed. If a gator can walk away from a car accident and your car is demolished, I mean, that thing is built to last. Dude, that's prehistoric. It can take a Passat straight to the head, but the Passat couldn't even handle it, man. I remember that night we had to take the car, because we would rent cars for work, and this was just one of the many rentals that was destroyed. And we brought it back. We had to show the manager that night. We were we were going to tell him so there was no morning surprises. It was probably 11:45 at night. We knock on his apartment door, and we go, "Hey, real quick, we just want to let you know it wasn't our fault." And he immediately knew, because this wasn't the first car. I mean, we would just trash cars. People would even crash into each other. That's how we got out of this one. So he was pissed because he thought we hit a curb or something. You can't tell someone you hit a gator. It's just kind of not really believable. Oh, we hit a gator. He's like, you guys were fucking drinking. He was pissed. We're like, no, man, we swear we hit a gator. And I was telling him, honestly, I didn't even see it. I saw it when we got out of the car. And, he was furious, dude. But then the next day in the parking lot, as we were leaving this restaurant, because we'd always get lunch before we'd go out into the field, he Tboned us. So now we're driving a beat-up Passat, and then there's an Escalade, smashed into the driver's side door. And I'm just like, well, that's one way to get out of it. I don't remember what they did. I think we got to the point where you had to, claim the accident in different days. So he's like, all right, you say the Passat got messed up. yesterday someone hit you when you were parked, and then, you know, for the Escalade, we'll say next Tuesday, you know, someone hit, and then the rental company hated us because they're like, how are you guys crashing this many cars? But, you know, that happens at ADT Home Security. So grateful to be here, dude. I was actually pulling out the other day, speaking of scraping cars, I was pulling out of the parking lot here, and I felt something scrape, and I'm like, oh, it's probably like a tree branch, whatever. I gotta go. You know, I was in a hurry. So I'm leaving the parking lot, and this old guy, he's doing the classic, like, you know, stop. So I go, oh man, maybe I really am like dragging a branch or something. And I stop, and he's doing that roll your window down signal. And so I roll my window down, and I'm like, am I dragging something? And he goes, what part of California you from? And I'm like, fuck. You know, dude, these Cali plates are not good in Florida, man. People are asking too many questions. I had a homeless guy. I was pumping gas. He rides his bike up to my car, and he goes, long way from California, huh? I'm like, yep. He goes, I used to live out there, man. He goes, it's really nice. And I go, it is. That's what I'm finding out. The California license plate in Florida is just this beacon that says, come talk to me. I don't know what it is. So this old guy, you know, he's like, what part of California are you from? I'm like, oh, I just moved back from Los Angeles. He goes, we're from San Diego. And he's doing like the point back, me and my wife. And I'm like, oh, cool. He goes, you know the Village area down there? And I go, not really. He goes, yeah, that's where we're from. Like, it didn't matter what I said. And this is what I love about old people. You could say whatever, and they're just going to tell you their story. So I'm like, not really. He goes, yeah, we're from the Villages. He goes, my wife here, she's the cupcake queen. She owned a bakery down there, and she was world famous for her cookies. And I'm like, all right, man, well, does she have any with her right now? Like, what are we doing? And I'm like, yeah, good to meet you guys. And, you know, he's like, hey, you planning on going back soon? I'm like, guys, I got to go. You know, that's the best, dude. Like, old people just have time, and I love it. I mean, let's be honest. They have less time, but they have more time. Does that make sense? A lot of them aren't really worried about paying bills. They just kind of accumulated it over time. Yeah, dude. We did the commercials up. Got some new sketches coming out. I got the green screen set up, so check the Instagram. We'll be putting some stuff up there. And then, dude, we do have some Florida man news. I wanted to pull that up. This one is, I don't want to say outrageous, but it is definitely, you know, it is some Florida shit. So this guy, he has a Tiger King-like situation in his backyard. And he invited this guy to come over and have a full contact visit with his, I think it was a leopard. Yeah, he has a black leopard. And to me, it sounds like some weird plays going on with a, emphasis on the full contact. All right, there's a lot of animal touching, a lot of molestation. So I don't know if this thing was like, hey, not today. I'm tired of you pimping me out to these random freaks. But yeah, some poor guy, dude, he paid for a full contact visit in this backyard zoo. And as soon as he walked into the cage, he got mauled
by a black leopard behind a Davie home.
He had just paid to have contact with the animal. Local 10 News reporter Syra Onwar is live in Fort Lauderdale outside the victim's attorney's office. Syra.
Yeah, and I just spoke to his attorney. He said his client, the victim in this attack spent a week in the emergency room. He says when he had signed up for this one-on-one experience with a leopard, an attack was not part of that plan.
Yeah, I bet it wasn't.
Photos show a victim's bandaged head and ear
this
after
dude
he was
just
mauled by a
has a
black
straight-
leopard.
he looks like a cotton
Detectives
ball
with the
that
Florida
somebody
Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission say this
bandages on
bloody
his head.
attack happened
Yeah,
in an
dude.
enclosure behind this Davy home
Guy
on
has a
Ernest
nice-ass
Boulevard,
house
August
with just-
31st. The man who lives here, Michael Podgy, has a Facebook page
Michael
saying he runs a
Podgy.
sanctuary
Hey, come look
for
at my
rare and
fucking
endangered
leopard.
animals. This video shows Podgy petting a black leopard on a kitchen counter.
And that's all I got for Florida Man
Another
News.
video.
But yeah, dude, stay out of backyard zoos. That's all I got to say. Holy shit. I thought my mama, we got this thing when I was a kid. It was like one of those little flyers from the zoo. It was like, oh, adopt a tiger for, 50 cents a week or something like that. And maybe it was even like a month. But it was, I thought it was like you actually got the tiger. Adoption to me was like, hey, it's like kind of, oh, it's adopting a kid. You actually, the kid's in your presence, So I'm thinking, oh, yeah, Mom, let's adopt a tiger, like 50 cents a month. I'm like, why doesn't everyone have a tiger? This is my 6-year-old way of thinking. And so we adopted the tiger, right? Now, I didn't know it was just, you help feed the thing and house it. It's almost like a GoFundMe for this tiger. You don't actually get it. So I'm sitting there as a kid waiting for the crate to pull up. It says like Madagascar on the side with the holes in it. Where you can hear it like growling and shit. And out would come a tiger cub, and I would raise it to be a full-grown tiger, and I would have, a tiger in the neighborhood. I was like, oh, the neighborhood's going to go crazy when they find out I have a tiger. And they had one for a Komodo dragon. So I thought I was going to have a tiger and a Komodo dragon on a leash, and I was just going to walk around like that. 6 years old. This is what I thought. No. What'd we get? A picture in the mail. A picture. They said, hey, this is your tiger, Gerald or whatever. And I go, oh, wow. I felt like Cartman from South Park. I was like, meh. This is it? I was like, where's the tiger? She's like, oh, no, it's at the zoo. I'm like, well, you could have told me that. It was the first time in my life where I realized, shit isn't what it seems. It was an early wake-up call. So now I told my friends at school. They're like, oh, did you get your tiger yet? I'm like, yeah, it's on the way. Don't worry. I'm like, where's your tiger? Yeah, you didn't adopt one. Then, and then they're like, where is it? I'm like, oh, it's at the zoo. I remember when we all went to go down and see the tiger. And of course they don't tell you like, oh, hey, this is your tiger that you're adopting. They just send you a picture of one of the tigers in the zoo. So now you don't even know what tiger you're adopting. So my 6-year-old brain is just fuming. My friends are like, which one's yours? And I'm like, I don't even know. Okay? I don't know, Owen. I have this Asian friend, Owen, dude. We would just play Pokemon cards. We didn't even know how to play. We would just play, like, whichever one you think would win. Like, people would play Pokemon back in the day. They were like, oh, this is a fire card. It has this much damage. We're like, nah. We would play, like, he would put out a Pokemon, and I would put out a Pokemon. And I was like, yeah, that one would beat that one's ass. Look at it. It has, like, a leaf for a tail. That thing's a little bitch. That's how we played. We just kind of, like, we kind of just guessed. It was like playing war, but, like, not really. Anyway, I don't even know what I'm saying. But, yeah, dude, happy Friday, everyone. It's going good, dude. I got up on stage yesterday. Last night. I'm just kind of getting the rhythm back, trying some new stuff. And it's going well, dude. I went up last night. The guy before me just kind of like, every now and then someone will have a mental breakdown on stage. It's just part of the, the open mic scene. Once you start seeing the level of like, okay, these are comics that have kind of made it out with their talent. But then at open mics, it's just kind of everyone. You got veteran comics, you got, because now everyone's back in the same pool. Like even the comics that were on tour, they still need stage time. So they're coming through. So you could have like a homeless guy, or you could have someone really, really, funny, or you could have a really funny homeless guy. There was plenty in LA that would do 5 minutes and just murder. Like, this guy lives in a tent and he has more material than half these people. But yeah, this guy goes up, dude, has a mental breakdown. He starts saying shit like, oh, I had a vision. I shot this place up and all this. And I'm like, what the fuck, And people are kind of stirring around, nervous, laughing. Then he gets off and, like, no one clapped for him. Like, this guy just said that he had a vision of shooting this place up. And no one's going to clap for him? Like, what? So I get up there, like, I have to follow this guy. And then I probably should have left, but this is the addiction of stand-up. You go, well, I got to get on stage no matter what. Even if he is going to shoot the place up, I still have to get on stage. So, man, I go up on stage and I go, hey, what was your name, man? And he's like, Alex. And I go, guys, give Alex a round of applause. That was a great fucking set, wasn't it? I'm like, clap louder. Because I'm like, dude, I don't need the Uzi coming out. So I'm hyping this dude up. I'm like, yo. And while everyone's clapping, I tell the host off to the side, I go, yo, get a fucking metal detector. And then that kind of broke the tension. I got the room back. But then I told everyone, I was like, look, if he does shoot the place up, I'm like, we can't be on the news crying. We can't be like, we had no idea this could happen. It's like, he literally told us. So, threw out some new stuff, man. Did some stuff from the podcast. That's the cool thing about this podcast is it's such a new muscle to just be, talking to you guys, from a studio. And I'm just bringing up old memories, old stories, and it'll definitely help with the stage. So appreciate you guys kind of being here on this open mic. And that's pretty much it, man. I might keep it short this episode. I'll definitely see you guys back on Monday